Welcome back to my YouTube, the channel, and thank you for joining once again for another deep dive into the incredible world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change can sometimes turn into unexpected treasure, and today's story is one that every collector, enthusiast, and curious viewer will want to hear from start to finish because we are exploring the astonishing tale of the 1998 1-cent coin that, due to a fascinating mix of errors, minting anomalies, rare circumstances, and collector demand, has reached an unbelievable value of up to $4 million, a figure that shocks many but becomes more understandable when we carefully unravel the long chain of possibilities, mistakes, production issues, and subtle variations that combine to create such a powerful mystery surrounding an otherwise common cent. And as we begin this journey, I want to welcome all viewers, both old and new, and encourage you to sit tight as we go through every detail that makes the 1998 cent not just interesting, not just rare, but in an extreme case capable of commanding a multi-million-dollar price tag, starting of course with its background as part of the long-running Lincoln Memorial Cent series, which by 1998 had already been minted for decades, meaning the coin is usually so common that most people overlook it entirely. However, what many don't realize is that despite its common appearance, the late 1990s were a period of subtle changes in minting technology, shifting die maintenance schedules, experimental adjustments in die pressure, differences in copper-plated zinc planchet quality, and fluctuating production environments across multiple mints including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, each of which contributed to a small but significant number of error coins that collectors would later recognize as remarkable. And among these, the 1998 cent stands out because of several extremely scarce types of errors that have only been confirmed in a handful of surviving examples, with some so rare that they are believed to originate from specific test stages or transitional toolings within the mint, and when scarcity meets historical interest, collector competition rises dramatically, especially when the error is visually dramatic or technically unique. So let us move slowly through the kinds of errors that could elevate a standard 1998 cent into one worth millions, beginning with double die obverse errors, which occur when the die used to strike the coin receives multiple misaligned impressions during the hubbing process, creating a visible doubling on letters like Liberty, the date, or the motto "In God We Trust." And although 1998 is not particularly known for common double dies, the few that exist are extremely bold, with dramatic doubling that is so sharp collectors consider them major varieties worth significant premiums. Now imagine a specimen where the doubling is exceptionally clear under magnification and matches features found on no other known coin of the year, making it effectively a unique discovery piece. And unique coins often become holy grails in numismatic circles, attracting massive bidding wars at auctions where wealthy collectors and institutions compete to own a once-in-a-lifetime item. But doubling is only one possibility among many, as some of the most valuable 1998 cents involve rare transitional planchet errors where the coin is struck on a blank intended for a completely different denomination, such as a foreign contract coin blank or an experimental composition planchet tested internally by the mint, and when a cent is struck on the wrong metal, like an aluminum, bronze, or steel planchet that isn't supposed to be used for that year, the weight is dramatically different and the color and ring of the coin changes, alerting collectors immediately that something extraordinary has occurred. And such errors have historically sold for hundreds of thousands to millions, especially if they are authenticated by top grading companies and recognized as mistakes directly resulting from mint experimentation or oversight. And in 1998 the mint was known to be evaluating die wear and plating adhesion on their zinc cores, and subtle adjustments in production lines sometimes resulted in leftover planchets or test pieces entering official circulation, meaning a 1998 cent on an unexpected metal composition is not only possible but potentially extremely rare. And even rarer still are multi-error coins where two or more mistakes appear on the same piece, like a broad strike combined with an off-center strike, or a double-struck coin combined with a rotated die, or even a combination of a wrong planchet with a dramatic die clash imprint where the dies hit each other without a planchet in between, creating ghostly outlines of design elements later transferred onto coins. And when an error coin shows this level of complexity and rarity, collectors often view it not just as currency but as a unique work of minting history, raising the price into extraordinary territory. But the 1998 cent also contains one of the most mysterious categories, the possibility of a transitional design mix-up involving the wide AM versus close AM varieties in the reverse lettering of United States of America and the spacing between the A and M of America. Since in certain years including 1998 the Mint accidentally used a proof reverse die on regular circulation strikes, creating the beloved 1998 wide AM variety, which normally brings strong value, but imagine an extreme scenario where the reverse is inherited from a proof die with additional die polishing marks not seen on any other coin in existence, effectively transforming it into a one-of-a-kind prototype-level variety, and collectors value such anomalies astronomically, because uniqueness drives prestige, and prestige drives bidding wars. And from there we explore struck-through errors where foreign material like cloth fibers, metal, shavings, grease, or dust intervenes between the die and the planchet, leaving strange indented shapes, missing details, or ghost-like patterns on the coin, and if that struck-through event affects the date, mintmark area, or Lincoln's face in a dramatic and visually captivating manner, collectors often bid aggressively, especially if it is combined with other rare features already present on that same coin. And perhaps the most valuable of all potential situations is a perfect storm scenario, where a 1998 cent has a unique double die obverse, a rare proof reverse wide AM variety, a wrong planchet composition, a dramatic minting strike-through, and an unusual die rotation all at once, making the coin so unusual and impossible to replicate that it becomes a one-of-one world-class numismatic treasure, and when only a single example exists, the price is no longer determined by population reports or comparative sales but by the emotional, historical, and competitive value placed on it. By collectors who recognize that such an item transcends normal coin collecting, becoming instead a trophy-level artifact that may never appear again in the market for decades, and when wealthy collectors or museums chase such a piece, the bidding can rise past $1 million, $2 million, and even up to $4 million, especially in a market where high-grade mint-error coins have skyrocketed in demand due to increased global interest, online auction platforms, competitive private buyers, and a modern fascination with rare currency. And while the exact physical characteristics of the single most valuable 1998 cent may vary depending on the specimen being referenced, the consistent theme among high-value coins is extreme rarity, extraordinary visual impact, and the confirmation of authenticity by top grading services who label it as a unique error. And once a coin is recognized as unique in the numismatic world, it gains instant fame, spreading through forums, collector groups, social media discussions, and auction house previews, creating a minefield of excitement and speculation that naturally drives prices higher. But beyond the specific error types and technical aspects, what truly makes certain 1998 cents so captivating is the mysterious nature of mint errors themselves, because every mistake tells a hidden story about what happened inside the mint that day. Whether it was a misalignment in die installation, a leftover test planchet from another project, a malfunction in the planchet feeder system, a buildup of grease in the dies, or an experimental reverse die mistakenly placed into circulation production, and collectors are not just buying a coin but a hidden piece of American minting history, a story preserved in metal, a moment frozen in time, and when that moment happens to be extremely rare, visually dramatic, and historically significant, the value escalates beyond what most people expect from a humble copper-plated zinc cent, and this is why the 1998 1 cent, when containing the right combination of errors, rarity, uniqueness, and collector demand, can be valued at an unbelievable $4 million, creating one of the most fascinating stories in the world of rare modern coins, and inspiring collectors everywhere to check their change, search their old coin rolls, inspect their inherited collections. Next 1995 1 cent coin, to the channel, and thank you all for joining once again as we dive deep into another unbelievable story from the world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change can transform into life-changing treasure, and today we are exploring the incredible and almost surreal saga of the 1995 1 cent coin that in an extraordinarily rare scenario has been valued at up to $3 million because of a combination of minting mistakes, unusual production anomalies, dramatic visual errors, and highly specific circumstances that elevate an otherwise ordinary penny into a once-in-a-generation numismatic marvel. And as we begin this journey, I want to welcome everyone tuning in, whether you are a dedicated collector, a curious beginner, or someone who simply enjoys hearing amazing stories about hidden value in everyday objects. Because the 1995 cent has become one of the most discussed coins among modern collectors, especially due to the variety of known errors and the possibilities of unique combinations that may exist in extremely rare specimens, and today we will explore these possibilities in immense detail, breaking down exactly what kinds of mistakes, conditions, and anomalies could transform a simple 1995 penny into a multimillion-dollar treasure. So buckle up as we go through the long chain of events, manufacturing mechanisms, minting flaws, and collector psychology that give this coin such astonishing potential value, beginning with the context of the year 1995, when the United States Mint was still heavily relying on copper-plated zinc planchets which had replaced the older bronze alloy years earlier, and during this period the Mint was producing billions of coins, meaning any mistake that slipped through the quality control cracks had the potential to be both extremely rare and extremely valuable. And one of the most well-known errors from 1995 is the famous double die obverse, often referred to as one of the most dramatic double dies of the decade, with extremely strong doubling on the words Liberty and in God We Trust, attracting enormous attention from collectors worldwide. And although most of these double die pennies sell for moderate amounts depending on condition, the existence of an ultra-rare and possibly unique superdramatic double die is what pushes some theoretical valuations into the multimillion-dollar territory. Because a coin that combines dramatic visual appeal with undeniable rarity often becomes a trophy piece, especially if it is the finest known example or contains additional errors layered on top of the doubling, and this is where the story becomes truly fascinating, because the minting process is incredibly complex and a surprising number of independent things can go wrong at the same time, creating coins with multiple simultaneous errors that are exponentially rarer than coins with a single mistake. So imagine a 1995 cent where not only is there a strong double die obverse but also a rotated die error, where the obverse and reverse designs are misaligned by 30 degrees, 45 degrees, or even more, and rotated die errors by themselves attract strong collector attention, but when combined with a major double die they create a compound error that becomes far more valuable and intriguing. And then consider the possibility of such a coin being struck on a wrong planchet, perhaps a leftover bronze blank from earlier years or a transitional test planchet accidentally fed into the press during a period of production adjustment, and wrong planchet errors are among the most valuable in existence, often selling in the hundreds of thousands or even higher, especially when authenticated and confirmed by metallurgical analysis that proves the coin's composition does not match the official mint specifications for the year. And because the mint in the mid-1990s occasionally had leftover test planchets, experimental blanks, or mis-sorted foreign coin blanks used in contract production, there is always the possibility of a 1995 cent struck on an unexpected metal composition slipping into circulation unnoticed, and then imagine that same coin also having evidence of a dramatic die crack that runs across Lincoln's portrait, or a die break that creates a large raised blob of metal near the lettering, or perhaps a clash mark where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, transferring ghost-like images of the Lincoln Memorial onto the obverse fields. And although each of these errors individually is interesting, when multiple occur on a single coin they create a numismatic phenomenon, a perfect storm of minting chaos frozen in metal, and if the coin is the only known specimen with this exact combination, collectors consider it priceless, and priceless in numismatic terms often translates into millions at auction, driven by wealthy private collectors, museums, and institutions that compete fiercely to own something that no one else in the world possesses. But the story gets even deeper when we explore grease-filled die errors where certain areas of the die become clogged with debris, oil, or metal dust, causing parts of the coin's design to appear faint, missing, or malformed, and if a grease error affects a significant part of the date or the motto, it becomes extremely rare and highly desirable. But imagine combining this with doubling, wrong planchet composition, and a die rotation, resulting in a coin with multiple overlapping manufacturing mistakes, each of which enhances the coin's uniqueness and therefore its value. And beyond mechanical errors we must also consider the possibility of an ultra-high-grade example being discovered, as grading plays a major role in determining numismatic value, and if a spectacular, dramatic error coin from 1995 were discovered in a condition approaching perfect preservation, such as MS-69 or MS-70 on the grading scale, the rarity of both condition and error could skyrocket its market price, and collectors pay huge premiums for the finest known example of any variety, especially when the error is famous and visually striking, and although most surviving 1995 double die cents are circulated, the possibility remains that a pristine example has been sitting unnoticed in a sealed mint set, a forgotten drawer, a coin jar, or a family collection, waiting to be discovered by someone who understands its value. And then there is the phenomenon of transitional reverse errors, where the mint accidentally used a reverse die intended for another year or proof coin on a business strike coin, and while this is already known in some years due to varieties like wide AM and close AM reverses, it is not impossible that rare die trials or transitional reverse designs were accidentally used during the 1995 production period, especially considering the mint's ongoing adjustments to die polishing, engraving depth, and hub design during the decade, and such a coin would be instantly elevated to legendary status, the kind of piece that collectors would talk about for decades, pushing auction values well into the $1 million range, particularly if the coin also had another major error layered on top of the transitional design. And now imagine adding an off-center strike so severe that part of the design is missing while the date remains fully visible, because off-center errors only reach maximum value when the date survives intact, and a major off-center error combined with any of the above mistakes becomes a coin of unprecedented rarity. But beyond the mechanical and die-related errors there is also the possibility of dramatic planchet flaws like laminations, splits, improper bonding of the copper plating, or areas where the zinc core is visible due to plating failure. And if the plating error is extreme and occurs in combination with a major double die or wrong planchet error, this compound rarity again raises the coin's potential value to staggering heights, making it the type of coin that serious collectors pursue with extraordinary determination. But as we continue exploring the potential combinations that give rise to such unimaginable valuations, we must also consider the psychology and economics of the collector market, because value is not determined merely by rarity but also by demand, storytelling, historical significance, visual impact, and the competitive instinct among collectors to own something truly one of a kind. And when a coin earns a reputation as the rarest or most spectacular example of its type, demand multiplies, media attention increases, grading companies publicize it, auction houses spotlight it, and suddenly an item that cost the mint a fraction of a cent becomes an artifact worth millions. And this is how the 1995 1-cent coin, when containing the right combination of errors, can realistically achieve valuations as high as $3 million, not because every 1995 penny is valuable but because a hypothetical specimen containing multiple extreme errors would be so unique, so visually dramatic, and so historically important that collectors would bid aggressively to secure it, driving the price upward with no preset limit. And once a coin reaches this level of fame it is no longer just a piece of currency. Next, 1987 1-cent coin. To the channel, and thank you all for joining once again as we dive into another astonishing and mind-bending journey through the world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change can sometimes hide extraordinary secrets. And today we are exploring the unbelievable story of the 1987 1-cent coin, a coin that millions of people have held, spent, ignored, or tossed into jars without a second thought. Yet in an extreme, once-in-a-lifetime scenario, a certain rare and extraordinary specimen of this exact year and mint mark has been valued at up to $2 million thanks to a breathtaking combination of rare minting errors, mechanical failures, accidental conditions, hidden anomalies, and the incredible forces of collector demand and bidding competition that together transform an ordinary penny into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And I want to welcome every viewer who has joined today, whether you are a seasoned numismatist, a beginner who loves learning about valuable pennies, someone checking their pocket change, or simply a curious viewer fascinated by modern-day treasure hunts, because the 1987 cent has become one of the most intriguing and mysterious coins among enthusiasts who know that although billions were produced, a few rare pieces with extraordinary errors defy all expectations and achieve unimaginable values. So get ready as we travel deep into the possibilities, the mistakes, the minting chaos, and the rare moments in history that explain exactly how a single 1987 penny can reach an incredible $2 million price tag, beginning with the minting environment of the mid-1980s when the United States Mint was producing enormous numbers of copper-plated zinc cents after transitioning away from the heavier bronze alloy of earlier decades. And during this period Denver was responsible for striking hundreds of millions of pennies every year, working non-stop at high speed, and any fast-paced industrial production line naturally produces occasional defects, but what makes coin minting unique is that certain defects are not only noticeable but also incredibly desirable, especially when they occur in rare combinations, and one of the most dramatic error categories is the double strike error, where a coin is struck once and then, due to a feed malfunction, is struck again either off-center or with partial rotation, creating overlapping designs that look surreal and instantly capture collector attention. And while double-struck coins are collectible by themselves, imagine a 1987 penny that was double-struck with a rotation of more than 90 degrees and significant off-center displacement while still retaining the date perfectly clear, because keeping the date visible is crucial for premium value, and such a coin could easily reach tens or hundreds of thousands. But we are not done, because the true $2 million candidates are those with multiple overlapping errors that produce something nearly impossible to replicate, like a coin struck on the wrong planchet entirely. And wrong planchet errors are some of the most valuable mistakes in numismatics, occurring when the mint accidentally feeds a blank intended for another denomination, like a dime, foreign coin, or transitional alloy, into the penny striking press, resulting in a coin with abnormal weight, unexpected metallic composition, and unusual coloration. And these errors often exceed six figures at auction, but imagine the rarity of a 1987 cent struck on a foreign bronze or nickel planchet intended for an overseas contract coin that Denver was producing around that time, because the mint has occasionally struck foreign coins and leftover blanks can accidentally find their way into domestic production, and if such a coin also exhibited a major strike error like double striking, off-center misalignment, or partial collar malfunction, it becomes exponentially rarer and more valuable. But the possibilities do not end there, because another highly valuable category is the die clash error, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, causing each die to imprint parts of its design onto the other, so when the next coin is struck, ghost-like traces of the Lincoln Memorial appear on Lincoln's portrait, or faint outlines of Lincoln's head appear behind the memorial. And dramatic, bold die clashes are very collectible, but an ultra-dramatic, perfectly centered, uniquely shaped die clash on a coin that also has a second error dramatically increases value, especially when the clash is from dies that were later replaced, making the surviving coins extremely rare. But perhaps the most famous and fascinating errors are doubled dies, created during the process of die hubbing, when the design is impressed onto the die more than once in slightly different positions, resulting in letters, numbers, or features that appear doubled, tripled, or distorted. And while 1987 does not have widely known double die varieties, the possibility remains that a unique or extremely dramatic double die could exist unnoticed, perhaps on Liberty, the date, or the motto. And if such a double die were to be discovered and verified as one of a kind, it would immediately become a legendary coin, the type that collectors would pay extraordinary sums to acquire. But imagine combining a dramatic double die obverse with an off-center strike of 20 to 30%. A rotated die alignment of 40 degrees, and a wrong planchet composition, with the coin weighing noticeably more or less than a standard cent, and suddenly we are dealing with a once-in-a-century minting anomaly, a coin that defies all normal expectations, a coin that is so unbelievably rare that auction houses would promote it as the star of the event, drawing global attention, intense bidding, and sky-high prices that could easily surpass $2 million, and the value increases even more if the coin is in exceptional condition, because nearly all error coins enter circulation and suffer wear. But imagine a $2 million 1987 penny preserved in near-perfect mint state condition with glossy surfaces, sharp details, and minimal marks, perhaps having been accidentally saved in a mint set, a roll, or a bank bag without ever entering circulation, making it the finest known example of an already unique error, and the grade alone could add hundreds of thousands to the price. And then we consider the category of planchet defects like laminations, where layers of metal peel or split due to improper bonding of the copper plating to the zinc core, or incomplete plating where exposed zinc appears, or gas bubbles trapped under the plating create raised blisters on the surface. And while plating errors by themselves are common, extreme examples where the plating failure creates dramatic shapes or corresponds with other errors become highly desirable, especially when the date and mint mark remain intact, because collectors want dramatic visual impact combined with full identification. And another fascinating possibility is the existence of mule errors, where the obverse die of one coin is paired with the reverse die of another denomination, and although no official 1987 mule cents are recorded, mule errors have occurred in other years and are among the most valuable minting mistakes in U.S. history, so the possibility of an unreported mule involving a 1987 D. obverse and another coin's reverse remains extremely attractive to advanced collectors who know that if such an example were ever authenticated it would instantly become one of the most important modern errors ever discovered, worthy of million-dollar valuations. But the world of mint errors also includes the accidental use of proof dies in circulation production, reverse design transitions, mismatched dies with different states of wear, improperly annealed planchets that turn darker or reddish brown, coins struck through foreign materials like cloth fibers, metal shavings, grease, oil, or even insects, each leaving a unique imprint that cannot ever be duplicated, and when such a dramatic strike-through error appears on the date or portrait area, collectors pay huge premiums. But imagine a 1987 D cent that has a massive strike-through error on one side and a double die on the other, making it a two-sided error coin of extraordinary rarity, and such a combination would absolutely drive collectors into intense bidding rivalries, pushing the price well into high six figures or more. But once again, the true multimillion-dollar valuation arises when multiple rare error categories merge into one unbelievable coin: wrong planchet, dramatic double strike, rotated dies, bold die clash, major doubled die, off-center strike, spectacular strike-through, and perhaps even a transitional reverse design, all preserved in extremely high grade and authenticated by top grading companies, who label it as unique, finest known, previously unknown, or a discovery coin. And such labels themselves add enormous value because collectors love acquiring coins that rewrite numismatic history, coins that appear in news articles, coin magazines, auction catalogs, and reference books. And once a coin becomes famous, its price can skyrocket even further because prestige becomes part of the value. And this is where the incredible pricing power. Last 2014 D1 cent coin, to the channel, and thank you all for joining once again as we dive deep into another incredible and astonishing story from the world of rare coins, where something as simple and ordinary as a penny can unexpectedly carry a value so massive that it shocks collectors, surprises beginners, and inspires people everywhere to start checking their pocket change with new excitement. And today we explore the fascinating, unbelievable, and extremely rare case of the 2014 D1 cent coin that has been valued in an extraordinary scenario at up to $1 million due to a series of unique minting mistakes, dramatic mechanical failures, die-related anomalies, and rare production circumstances that together create a coin unlike anything the mint intended. And before we uncover the long chain of events that make such a coin possible, I want to welcome all of you to the channel. Whether you're a passionate collector, a curious beginner, a hobbyist, or someone who just loves hearing about how rare errors can turn an ordinary penny into a life-changing treasure, because today's deep dive is going to break down every detail about why a 2014 D penny could be worth $1 million, what errors contribute to such high valuations, how minting mistakes happen, and which combinations of errors make a coin outrageously rare. So get ready as we go through the complexities of the minting process, the realities of mechanical flaws, the chaos of production, and the extraordinary collector psychology that determines why certain coins skyrocket in price, beginning with the context of 2014 when the United States Mint was striking billions of copper-plated zinc cents with the familiar shield reverse introduced in 2010, and Denver was one of the busiest mints with enormous pressure to maintain production speed. And whenever production is fast and continuous, the potential for rare errors increases, but only a tiny fraction of mistakes escape quality control, making authentic extreme errors incredibly valuable. And the 2014 D cent is known among modern collectors for being relatively common overall, but also capable of producing some of the most extraordinary error coins in modern times. And now we will begin exploring the long list of possibilities that could elevate a regular 2014 D penny into a multimillion-dollar treasure, starting with double strike errors, where a coin is struck more than once due to a feeder or ejector malfunction and the two strikes overlap at different rotations or different positions, creating strange, surreal, eye-catching patterns that collectors love. And dramatic double strikes with major off-center positions can easily reach thousands, but a double strike alone does not produce $1 million coin unless it is paired with something even more extraordinary, such as a wrong planchet error, which is one of the most valuable and mysterious mistakes that can occur in any year because it involves the coin being struck on a blank intended for a completely different denomination, metal type, or foreign contract coin, and although extremely rare in modern years, the US Mint does strike foreign coins sometimes and leftover blank discs can accidentally end up in the wrong machine, so imagine a 2014 D penny struck on a dime planchet, or even rarer on a nickel or foreign planchet with a different weight and metal composition, and such an error would already be extremely valuable, especially if authenticated. But now imagine that the same coin also displays a strong die rotation, meaning the obverse and reverse are misaligned significantly, and rotated dies of 45 degrees, 90 degrees, or even 180 degrees are extremely desirable, especially when combined with another error, because collectors love coins that appear visually shocking. And rotated dies combined with a wrong planchet and a double strike instantly elevate the coin into ultra-rare territory where values can skyrocket into 5 or 6 figures, but we are nowhere near done, because another error that can make modern coins extremely valuable is a dramatic die clash where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet between them, transferring ghost-like outlines of the shield reverse onto Lincoln's portrait or faint traces of Lincoln's silhouette behind the shield on the reverse, and although minor die clashes are common, dramatic, deep, and perfectly centered die clashes are extremely rare and highly collectible, especially when they occur on a year and mint mark that normally does not produce dramatic clashing, and if such a clash was found on a wrong planchet double-struck rotated die 2014 D cent, it would create a compound error with exponential value. But then we must consider the possibility of an extreme off-center error where the coin is struck with half or more of the design missing while the date and mint mark remain fully visible, because collectors only value major off-center coins if the date can be seen clearly, and a massive off-center strike of 50% or more combined with a dramatic double strike or wrong planchet instantly creates a coin that can reach astonishing values, but the million-dollar possibilities emerge when multiple independent errors occur simultaneously, such as an off-center strike on a dime planchet with a rotated die and dramatic die clash all on the same coin, and although it sounds almost impossible, it is not unheard of in numismatics for multiple major errors to occur on a single coin, and such a coin instantly becomes unique, which is the #1 factor that pushes coins into million-dollar territory, because collectors pay enormous premiums for one-of-a-kind pieces. But now we go deeper into the technical side of minting mistakes by exploring struck-through errors where a foreign object like cloth fibers, grease, metal shavings, fragments of broken planchets, or even insects get trapped between the die and the coin during striking, leaving unusual shapes, depressions, or textures on the surface, and dramatic struck-through errors on the portrait or date area can significantly increase value, especially if the shape is unique or recognizable, and if such a rare struck-through error occurred on a wrong planchet, double-struck, off-center, rotated die 2014 D cent, it would create a compound error coin unlike anything else, which is exactly the kind of coin capable of reaching $1 million. But beyond mechanical errors, there is also the fascinating possibility of die variety errors, such as double dies caused by misalignment during the hubbing process where letters, numbers, or details show strong doubling, and although major double dies are less common in modern years, they still occur, and when they are dramatic and highly visible, collectors rush to acquire them, and the existence of a 2014 D major double die, especially on the date, Liberty, or In God We Trust, would already attract huge attention, but combine it with a wrong planchet or dramatic off-center strike and suddenly the coin becomes a lightning bolt in the world of numismatics, capable of smashing through price expectations and climbing into the 7-figure range. But another major error type that could exist is the mule error, where the obverse design of one denomination is accidentally paired with the reverse design of another denomination, and although extremely rare, mule coins are among the most valuable mint errors in existence because they are the result of unprecedented failures in die pairing, and if a 2014 D mule penny were ever discovered with the wrong reverse design, it could immediately become one of the rarest coins of the decade and easily push into million-dollar territory, especially if combined with a second or third error. But beyond these extreme scenarios, there are also transitional design or transitional composition errors which occur when the mint shifts from one design or metal to another but accidentally uses leftover dies or blanks from previous years, and although 2014 was not a transitional year, the possibility of leftover planchets, test planchets, or misfed blanks cannot be ruled out completely, and if such a coin existed, it would certainly draw global attention. And then there is the factor of condition, because error coins are often found in circulation where they suffer scratches, dents, and wear, but if a dramatic multi-era 2014 penny were discovered in pristine, untouched, high-grade condition like MS-68 or MS-69, it would amplify the value dramatically because collectors will always pay more for the finest known example, especially if population reports indicate that the coin is unique, and condition combined with rarity and dramatic visual appeal is the formula that produces multi-million-dollar coins. But the story doesn't end with the physical attributes, because the marketplace itself plays a massive role in determining value, and when a coin gains fame through social media, collector forums, auction previews, grading company announcements, and news coverage, the value skyrockets because demand increases dramatically, and wealthy collectors enter bidding wars for the privilege of owning a coin that becomes a trophy piece, a conversation starter, a museum-worthy artifact.